Be ready for BYU Game Day. Download the KSL News Radio app to stream BYU games, plus breaking news during the week. That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Welcome back into Cougar Nation. Mitch, Harper, Matt Baiamonte with you. We hold it down every Monday during the football and men's basketball seasons here on KSL, 6 to 7 p.m. Taking your phone calls and your text, 801-575-8255. You can line up the phone lines and weigh in on BYU football. How have your expectations changed after the win over K-State? Or also just share your experiences inside LaVell Edwards Stadium on Saturday, or your feelings on this BYU football team. We want to take all and any thoughts regarding BYU football here on Cougar Nation. But right now, Matt, let's get to trending up and trending down.
Cougar Nation, trending. What's trending up and what's trending down this football season?
Let's start with the positives, Mitch. Trending up for me. We've talked about it a little bit already. Running back depth. Sione Iamoa, even in a few flashes, Pokai Honga showed some ability. One of the inaccurate passes of the game from Retzlaff was to Honga, who was wide open. That could have been a touchdown. But the running back depth, man, it has really impressed me because I like Hinckley Rapati a lot. I know he hasn't produced this year, but I still think there's opportunities there for him. LJ Martin, when he's healthy, we know what LJ can do. But then you add in Sione Iamoa, who maybe is the most hard-to-tackle running back in the room as a freshman. That is impressive. So the running back depth is certainly trending up. I like the options there. I expect Sione to start against Baylor again with LJ being declared out. And if you need, Miles Davis is there as a backup. He didn't take a snap against Kansas State, which is kind of interesting. But the depth in the running back room, it's going up.
It's hard to get snaps when you don't perform against Wyoming. That was kind of the moment for Miles Davis to say, I'm the guy while LJ and Hinckley are gone. And he didn't. He missed that opportunity, whereas Sione Iamoa was running harder in the Wyoming game. He would have had a touchdown in that Wyoming game, but it got negated by a Ray Paulo holding call, so he would have had back-to-back weeks with touchdowns. I'm curious to see how Moa, continues to stack these up, because now that he's going to be on a scouting report, how does that change for him? For me, the trending up is the special teams return game. Back-to-back weeks, Matt. The return game produces a touchdown. Keelan Marion 2 weeks ago on the kick return. And then Parker Kingston, one of the wildest punt return touchdowns you'll see in BYU football history, a 90-yarder. Afterwards, he, putting it lightly, he was shook up on the sidelines to make it appropriate for the radio. Parker Kingston earns Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Week. And this was Tyler Batty, I believe, after the game, discussing Parker Kingston's punt return.
Can't find that clip, but it was a great one. Here, let's play another clip, though, that'll lead me into mine, Mitch, which is the environment. And this is kind of after that touchdown you just described with Parker Kingston, how loud it was. Tyler Batty could not believe, said that it was one of the best games he's ever played in terms of atmosphere.
It honestly was probably the loudest LaVell's ever been. Like there were moments. I mean, you want to think back to 21 ASU. I think that was probably the previous loudest time in LaVell. Tonight was absolutely deafening. We're trying to make checks, we're trying to make calls, and we're on the field and you're standing this close to someone, just screaming your head off, and you can't hear a word they're saying. So it was absolutely awesome. Again, I don't think there's another place like LaVell in the country.
And this leads me to my trending down. Beefy 5-layer burritos, Mitch. If you haven't followed this, earlier in the week, a Kansas State fan said if the Wildcats lost, you take a beefy 5-layer burrito and put it somewhere I shouldn't mention on the air. So they lost. He's been fun on X to follow. But the troll job by BYU was elite after that Kingston touchdown. They tweet, Live Mas. So after the beefy 5-layer burrito has to go through what it has to go through, I'm putting it a little lower on my menu choices going forward. Just that was The atmosphere was amazing, and then you throw in the fun on social media and the banter. It was a moment that I think BYU fans will remember forever.
That's the type of content I live for. Honestly, the deranged fans on social media making bold proclamations, absolutely love that. If I'm going to get nitpicky on what might be trending down, because there's not much after a huge win, you want to celebrate that moment. Like, live it up. Like, that's the thing is that enjoy the moment, Cougar Nation. Yep. Enjoy this chance, because after an offseason where you felt like, are they going to have Kalani on the hot seat? Now you're 4-0. Like, enjoy this moment. But if you got to get nitpicky and you're trying to raise the bar and keep stacking up these wins, third down conversion still a little bit of an issue. 3 of 9, you can get better there. I thought BYU, it wasn't as big of a storyline because, again, the offense was opportunistic when they got the short fields. They were on attack. They were not. I thought the decision-making was great. The execution in that second half and late in the second quarter was great. Even in stretches after the first drive where they went 3-and-out and had 2 drops, I thought there was a really good execution by BYU. But again, third downs, you'd like to get that number improved. I know A-Rod looks at it as a chance to honestly set up 4th and short, and they're going to go. And they were 1 of 1 on 4th down. BYU's great on 4th down conversions this year, but you don't want to put it in that do-or-die spot. Get it done on 3rd down as the competition only continues to get better.
We're taking your calls, 801-575-8255, and we'll take your texts as well, 575-00. Wasn't thinking clearly there. There's so many angles to take on this game, Mitch. I'm curious what you thought was the most impactful play of the game, because there's a few that you could go with. What would you say was the most impactful play of the game?
The scoop and score, it has to be, because Jack Kelly forcing the fumble, and then Tommy Parasis, the true freshman from Basha High School in Chandler, Arizona, same high school as Micah Harper, he comes up with a big play, heady play, where he scoops it up and then runs with it, makes a play. That's a tough thing to do, to secure the ball, gather possession, and then take off. Parasis showed his talent on display in that moment and then takes it in for the score. I just thought that changed everything about the game. Even if BYU didn't have the Tyler Batty, interception that turned into 17-6, just being up 10-6 potentially going in at the half it was a momentum change for BYU. That was so huge. I thought that was all the difference in the world, because after the Will Ferrin field goal to be down 6-3, I thought, okay, at least BYU got that going into the half, but really it was looking dicey those first 2 drives defensively, where Kansas State was just getting whatever they wanted. DJ Giddens was patient. He was shifty. The speed of Edwards in the backfield. Avery Johnson even popped off a 30-yarder. It was looking worrisome as they mounted those long drives, but they bent but didn't break, gave up field goals. So, but that scoop and score was the biggest play in my opinion.
Let's go out to the phone line. Our good friend Linda. Have your expectations changed for this season, Linda?
Absolutely. Yes. I didn't think they were going to beat Kansas. I didn't think we were going to beat Kansas. I say we, but I love saying we because I know Greg doesn't like that. But
we're okay with it here, though, Linda.
Oh, good. I love it. That's good because I think that wasn't that Parker Kingston that ran the 90-yard touchdown?
That was. Was that your favorite play of the game?
It was, absolutely, and nobody's mentioned that yet tonight, so I'm going to mention that. That was my favorite part because it was just phenomenal.
Good stuff, Linda. Thanks for the call, and we'll talk to you next week. 801-575-8255. Cougar Nation, we're taking your phone calls, and it's sponsored by Central Bank, serving Utah County for over 133 years with trusted service, modern technology, and personalized care. Central Bank, proud sponsor of Cougar Nation here on KSL News Radio. And if you miss any part of this program, subscribe to our podcast feed on KSLSports.com and wherever you get your podcasts. Coming up next, we'll discuss the question in greater detail. How have your expectations changed for the season? And we'll get an early look at the Baylor Bears next here on Cougar Nation.